Engineering Leadership Seminar Series. I'm Brennan Morioka, the Dean for the College of Engineering. And always we want to appreciate and show mahalo to our sponsors, the Ken and Donna Hayashida Ohana. Always big mahalo to them for their support for our leadership efforts here at the college. We try and bring a variety of speakers here, leaders in our community to speak to our community, primarily our students, but also to our faculty and staff and our alumni who are out there in industry. And today is no different. And I'm gonna let Ellie and Josh introduce Shannon, but I've known Shannon for a long time now, a number of years, and what I appreciate every year, what I get to do with Shannon, which is why I know what kind of person she is, I know what kind of leader she is that we speak to the ACECH has a young professionals or leadership program with younger mid-level engineers from our industry, and they have a leadership program for them. And Shannon and I are always invited every year. We've done it, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And so I love that kind of conversation because it's really free flowing. And I just love what she has to share with some of our younger professionals. So I'm going to turn over to Josh and Ellie to take over, but aloha and thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Josh, and with me today is Ellie and Ethan. We'd like to welcome everyone to the Leadership Seminar Series of April, hosted by the Hayashida family. We have an amazing speaker today, so let's jump right in. Ellie will start off by introducing Shannon Holman.
Hi, everyone. So Shannon Holman is the founder and president of Orion Engineers and Associates. As a firm owner, she is part of a small group, which is 15% globally of women-owned engineering firms. She has over 20 years of experience as a civil engineer, much of that time with global firms. Her civil and environmental projects have included rail, aviation, and water distribution systems across the country and in Guam and South Korea. After over a decade in large firms, Shannon realized that as a true believer in quality over quantity, she wanted to create a firm that focused on quality work, exemplary client communication and service, and helping staff grow. So in 2016, Shannon and her business partner, Tony Raposo, took the bold step to launch Orion. It's here that she has been able to leverage her business savvy, passion for numbers, interest in improving systems, and ability to lead teams. Orion has 15 staff and offices in Honolulu, California, Washington State, and Massachusetts. With new projects coming online every year, the firm continues to grow, but not so large that it loses sight of the values that help shape Orion's culture and identity. Shannon earned her undergraduate civil engineering degree at University of California, Davis, and received her master's degree from California State University in Sacramento. She is a licensed engineer in 4 states and Guam. So now we'll have Shannon begin with her opening remarks that she'd like to share.
Thank you, Ellie. That was my life journey. I'm done. I didn't realize that that was such a long bio. Thank you, Nikki, for writing that. Thank you so much, for having me today. I'm really honored. I joked with Brennan years back when it was still COVID. I finally got invited to breakfast with him, and I'm like, I made the list. So I'm really honored, actually, to be invited. I think about my life journey not just as a person, as a human, but as a professional engineer, and how it's kind of commingled together. And I just want to, share it with you, and hopefully you'll learn about my aha moments, and maybe you'll take something with you. So let's see. I don't know which button I'm supposed to press. Does it work? Probably needs to be on. Okay.
I can go up there.
Okay, thanks, Josh. I better be done before 12:30 because we have to head out.
Oh, that's
Difficulties. Aha, there's my timeline right here. So as mentioned, I got my BS in civil engineering, UC Davis. I came from California, actually. I've been in Hawaii since 2006. No, yes, 2006. I moved over here, but I started at HDR fresh out of college. Great experience there. Decided to go get my master's, moved on to URS and came to Hawaii and haven't looked back. So Hawaii is my home. Little known fact, my great grandmother actually emigrated from Portugal. So I am part Portuguese, yes. And I grew up here, and I didn't really know that until I visit her every summer. She did the hula and she was very graceful at it. And I learned my great grandfather worked at Love's Bakery, while they were here. And that was actually before it was a state. So it was kind of cool to go back to my history and learn that. So URS got gobbled up by AECom. We became a 100,000 person firm. Oh, that's huge. We thought 50,000 was a lot. So I moved up in my career path there. And then, like Ellie had mentioned, looked at my values, which I'll get into a little bit later, and started Orion in 2016. So we've had 8 successful years here at Orion, and we're growing. We're actually up to 20 people now since we last wrote that, because we're kicking off a project at the Hue. So we have a sister company, Orion Construction Services, with Ray, that's kicking that off. So let's go to my next slide, please, sir. So my aha moment number 1. What exactly did I learn in college? I don't know about you. How those of you that are all engineers, why did you get into engineering? Problem solving? You didn't think you'd have to come and talk up in front of people? Except according to Brennan, his daughter thinks that engineering is going to presentations and conferences all day, so. But that was one thing, that was my aha moment. Wait, it's not just about the math work. But then the other aha moment, kind of interrelated to that, was I felt like I didn't learn anything in college to prepare me to be an actual engineer. And I went to a theoretical, UC Davis was very theoretical. I had the hydraulics lab, I learned open channel flow, but how did that relate to doing actual design? And that's what I was hired to do, was design engineering. And when I got my first big old booklet of specifications, I was like, the hell am I supposed to do with this? I had no clue what it meant. And I realized in college, I just felt like I learned enough. Mind you, it definitely set the foundation, right? You need to know all of that in order to do designs, but from a practicality position and a critical thinking, I had really kind of no clue. And so as I moved up in HDR, I realized I really wanted to go back to school to learn more. And so that's where I went to Sac State, which actually was very practical school. I learned how to design sewer systems at Sac State, which was like, whoa, why are manhole frames round? Anyone know? So the lid doesn't fall in when they take it off. Seriously, because I've seen electrical ones where they pulled it off. We were out in Kona. Whoopsie, fell in. Because I got to put a cone on and get maintenance out here to come pick it up. But I mean, just little stuff like that, like sizing pipes. Your calculation comes up at 8.52 inches. They don't make 8.52 inch diameter pipes, stuff like that I learned at Sac State that I didn't learn at Davis. So kind of that practicality. So that was my aha moment. And what I hope you take from this is that when you get out of college, you're not going to know everything. We don't expect you, coming out of college and into the profession to know everything. It's an never ending learning process for you. We, ask questions, we appreciate that. And it helps us, I think as professors here, at UH, to understand what it is to ask questions. And we know what we know. We don't necessarily know what you don't know. Only you guys know that. So that's my aha moment number 1. So moving up my career path, my aha moment number 2 was at URS. And I had moved up in my career path. I became senior project manager, and then I was the engineering service manager. They went through a huge reorg, and I became the operations manager at the Honolulu office, about 40 people. Became a vice president, and we had our first client appreciation open house at our office. All the big wigs, come in from the mainland. And we went out and met with the clients like they want to, and we met with Chris Takashige, which I think Brennan knows, and was, what are some of the challenges you face? This was when he was the director at DDC. And he said to us, I tell you, the public, all we get is complaints all the time. No appreciation. And I was like, wow, aha moment number 2. And I had to do a lot of reflection when I was preparing this show. It's like, the public doesn't know what we really do as engineers. They just take it for granted. We do some great things. You turn the faucet on, water comes out, and it's clean. You flush the toilet, it just magically disappears, right? Where did it go? I don't know. Hopefully it ends up clean and in our ocean, right? With the EPA. Turn on the light, switch. Oh gosh, when the Kona runway closed down because of the pavement failure. I mean, oh my God, that was horrific. It was a political nightmare. And I was like, oh God, because we're the designers for the reconstruction that starts in November. It just didn't last long enough. We had it programmed, but time, right? But yeah, the art of appreciation, we're not going to get it probably from the public, but we can get it internally from ourselves, and recognizing what we do as engineers is pretty amazing stuff. And that's why, I love it. Civil, what is civil? It's civilization. We create the civilization for us to live in, all the roadways, the pipelines, the water, the sewer, the electrical, and now it's getting into drone technology, which that was pretty cool when I went to the banquet on Wednesday to see what you guys are doing here. It's just amazing stuff. So appreciate what you do, appreciate each other for what we do. And, every once in a while, give a little plug to the family members of what we do. Maybe it'll, the public will start to learn that they take a lot of the stuff for granted, especially here in the US. So my aha moment number 2. Okay, an AECOM acquired us. I like my little path here. So that was an interesting transition. Great people at AECOM. Rudy Mina was the area manager. We hit it off. I loved working with Rudy. And it was funny because we both interviewed for the same position because they wanted to give everyone a chance. And he said, what do we do if you get it? What if you do? But it was kind of funny. And I ended up becoming the transportation business unit manager, the bum, as we used to term it. They like acronyms, right? And Rudy was very supportive of me, and I went through a leadership program with AECOM, and they actually sent us to UCLA. It was a big program that they sent all those up and comers, because when he got the position, he knew he wanted me to be the successor. And so I went through this program. It was amazing, amazing program through UCLA. And they do the Myers-Briggs, survey and found out what all my strengths are. And they schedule a meeting with a mentor that reviews your results to kind of talk through your career path. She's like, Shannon, I know I'm supposed to be representing AECOM, and I'm sorry if there's any AECOM staff out there. Hopefully. I know I'm supposed to be representing AECOM, but based on the results of the survey, you really like the stability of a large company. It's nice, you get a paycheck every 2 weeks. You don't have to worry about if the clients pay you on time. You're going to get a paycheck. She said, but you like the freedom of making your own decisions. So I think one day you're going to become your own owner, owner of your own company. And that kind of put that little thing in there. And so through the next 3-4 months and seeing how AECOM worked and the silos, and I had learned back at URS within design consulting, and it's probably like this with other companies, you got the 3 pillars that make up your business. You have your clients, you have your employees, and then you have the profit. And they all are supposed to kind of intersect. And how do you create that balance? But with AECOM, they're publicly traded, so they have shareholders to answer to. So you know what that means. It's very profit driven. And so I found that a lot of the decisions are made off of just that one pillar. And I get it, publicly traded, you need to still make a profit. And I recognized just through some of the situations I ran into, it just didn't sit well with what I believed engineering should be. Engineering to me is not about making a profit. Mind you, it's important. But it's important what we do to improve the quality of life for us here, and make sure we're safe, right? Whether we're flying into Honolulu, or we have clean water, discharging sewage, that it's clean when it goes into it. And that's what it's about for me. And so I realized that the values that I had didn't align with how the business philosophy was with AECOM. So at that time, it was time. I made that bold decision. Next slide. I went to Orion. Yes, oh, I started Orion. So I started with Orion with 3 other business partners, and Brennan heard this story a little bit. It was like there were 3 men. I felt like I had 3 husbands. Having one husband is enough and compromising, but having 3 is really, really challenging. And we went through the honeymoon stage, and we started to get work. Things were looking good, and things were getting in flow. We were hiring people, but then after the honeymoon stage, ends, you see and understand what really motivates people too, right? And we all worked together previously, but we were at different levels, and being co-owners together is a lot different than being colleagues. Very different. You put your heart and soul into a company, you put money into a company to start it, and we all have different things that kind of motivate us. And so one of the partners ended up leaving. We were down to 3, and then the last partner who left in 2020, it was a tough transition for me. I'll be honest with you. It was like a bad breakup. But what I learned, what motivated him didn't align with what motivated me, my value as a civil engineer and business owner. And so I found I had to stay true to my values. And that's what I want, hopefully you can take from your state. Figure out what your values are, spend some time on it. When you're going out to look for a job, with a company or private, a public agency, federal agency, figure out what you want, from yourself, as you grow into your career, and see if that aligns, with the company that you're interviewing for, because it's really, really important that you align. You'll learn more, you'll have more fun, and it'll be so much more rewarding. And so staying true to your values, it can be hard, and it takes a lot of bravery. You have to be courageous, because I had to break ties with this guy, and it was a bad breakup. But in the long run, it really worked out. And without that challenge that I faced, I would not be where I am today. Even while with the AECOM and the URS, I learned so much there that I brought that to Orion. And now it's like I'm free now to, as long, staying true to your values is very freeing. It's very, very freeing. So with that, aha moment number 5, and that's kind of through my journey, my life journey, as I've learned, I can get really worked up. And I normally, Mickey knows, who works with me, she can tell sometimes where I'm just like, WTF, are you serious? Why did the contractors do that? Oh my God. And I get stressed out from it. And then and my husband helps ground me too. Last Monday, I was like, getting all upset is not helping the situation. That's all. When you get mad, your brain doesn't function. And this is literal scientific fact. Your brain shuts down for so many seconds, and you're just reacting. You're emotional and you can't think. And so I recognized that in the moment when we were trying to finish up this project that we found out there was an error on. And I was like, and when I calm down, your mind is free. And you can focus on solutions. And that's what we do as engineers. There's always going to be some sort of challenge you face in life, personal, and in your profession that you face, that if you don't stay calm and you just react, you're not going to come up with a solution. You're going to storm out, be pissed off, and everyone's upset, not knowing what to do. And when you got a deadline, you don't have time for that. So that's my last aha moment that I wanted to share with you as you move through your career. Stay calm and take a breath. So I wanted to just kind of close out with, I talked about all my aha moments kind of through my journey, but life in engineering is a journey, and it's a never ending learning experience. So even as an owner of a company and running the company, I still find time to do engineering. That's me out at Kahului doing a site visit. I got my little, my radio on the side, because you got to keep in contact with the tower to know when planes are going to be arriving. But yeah, me out at Kahului, we were designing the runway 220 project, which actually just started this past Monday. So exciting stuff. If you don't know about airports and aviation, come see me afterwards. It's really cool stuff. I started out wastewater. I wanted to be a geotech like Brennan, I think, was at one time, but I was so fascinated with how wastewater could be treated. It's like, it comes out clean again. Takes a lot of engineering, but aviation, airports is very, very fun too. So just some projects, just so you kind of get a gist of what we do as engineers, right? So this is during COVID, actually. And this is Taxiway Bravo, and we were doing an assessment of the shoulders, and they had nowhere to park the planes, mind you, and they had to think outside of the box. And so that's the stuff you think of too as engineers. It's like, where are we going to park all the planes? Well, there's no traffic on Bravo. Let's just park them there. So that's why you see all the Hawaiian airline planes lined up. And then the next project, this is actually 8 left here at Honolulu, and they just finished that. That was widening the runway from 150 to 200 feet. So you can see the paving machine here. I don't know how many tons of asphalt we placed on this, but we also did concrete, but just relating with the contractor going through construction, I recommend every engineer at one time get out into the field and see what it's like. So you will become a better design engineer if you understand what it really takes to construct your project. And then this next project, this was when we first started. This is at Oakland, 1230. There was a 14-day closure of the runway. It's basically a single runway airport. They converted the parallel taxiway to a temporary runway. We placed 90,000 tons of asphalt. Wow. So if you think of how many tons go in one truck, which is about 20 tons, I did the math. It was like, was it 4,500 trucks? Because yeah, that's a lot of trucks in 2 weeks. I mean, how many drivers would that take? Someone can do the math afterward. But I worked there for 14 days, and it was an amazing experience to still be out in the field, seeing what you've designed and seeing how it's constructed. And then a little fun facts, because I may be an owner, I may be an engineer, but I do live beyond engineering. I think, Paul, I shared this with you when we went to lunch. I see Sharice back there. She knows that we collect caterpillars so we can repopulate the butterfly community. And so my husband got me turned on to this. And so in the pictures, you see all the caterpillars. They feed off of crown leaves. Munch, 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 munch. And then eventually we call them J dogs when they finally J up. So it looks like a reverse J. It does. And then you can see the chrysalis in the far back, right? So then eventually after, I think it's 7 days, they form the chrysalis, and it's really pretty because it has a gold trim around it. And then after about 7 to 10 days, they come out as a butterfly. And mind you, we don't leave them in the cage. This is the transfer cage they go into. It's a netted cage because you got to let their wings dry. And so after 24 hours, we let them free into our butterfly. So that was my fun fact number 1. This is my puppy. Yeah, he's my baby. I don't have kids. So people ask me, how do you do work-life balance? I say, don't have kids. Just have a puppy. He's already at that, he's still, I tell people he's never gonna die. He's 9 years old now, but he's never gonna die. But he runs the land. You can see, Mommy, look, I found a bird's nest. He loves chasing birds. He never gets them. But yeah, I always said I would never put him in clothes, and you can see he has them because he's sweating. And lastly, this is me, but this is before COVID when we were traveling more, but this is me and my husband. And so I have a question. I'm making sure everyone's paying attention here. The middle photo, where is that?
The Vegas area.
But what's the middle photo?
The dam.
Hoover?
Yes.
Hoover Dam. Of course, when I go on vacation, I like to look at the engineering. So here's another test. What was learned, what did they kind of invent during the construction of Hoover Dam?
Talking about the volume.
Well, they did do a lot of cement, yeah, I know, but there was something that was then invented, simply actually less engineering than that.
Also created the generators.
Oh, I didn't, yeah. Yeah, I know, but that wasn't what I was looking for, but that's good stuff too, because I didn't actually remember that when I watched on National Geographic when they did the construction.
Created just before one of the wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we used to hold back the water for the military.
Yes, absolutely, yes. And also one other little known fact is because they were kind of rappelling down as they were placing concrete from above. They kept getting hit with aggregate and rocks and people were dying. And so they took the hats, that, you know, they had just regular like hats, fabric hats. They dipped them in hot tar, let it dry, and that became their hard hat. And so that's when they actually started using hard hats, was during the construction of the dam. So little known fact, yeah. So we did zip lining, as you can see, that was really scary for me, but it was a lot of fun. And then my husband and I went to San Francisco. You can see Golden Gate in the background, and then Palace of Fine Arts. And so last slide, coming to a close. You can see I'm kind of droopy. We did all of our professional photos thanks to Mickey last year when we had our annual meeting. But these are my two business partners. Tony Raposo, he's the one remaining on Orion. He's like opposite of me. So he always questions things, which that's one thing I challenge as well as you grow in your career. Don't always go with the flow with what everyone else thinks. If something doesn't seem right, or if you have a different opinion, bring it up. Bring it up respectfully, of course. You know, don't say, oh, that's stupid. But bring it up respectfully. But he helps challenge me in that sense. And then Ray Cleely-Conning, he came on in 2019 and started Orion Construction Services, and he's more tempered like me, but even calmer. And so I learned to stay calm from him. Actually, Tony's gets more worked up for me, and I can see. I'm like, can we have some fun here? Come on, we're all serious. And so that's like, have fun. You know, as you grow in your career and just in life, just remember to step back and think about what we're doing here. We're all human beings. We all want to connect and we want to learn and share our experiences with each other. So I'm hoping by me sharing my experience with you, you guys have learned something, at least not take one thing from my talk. So thank you so much. And so if you have any questions, I will open it. Did I make it before noon? I did. You gotta go.
Thank you.
I was trying and I did it
You
in
did
20
awesome.
minutes.
Thank you.
You can leave now. Don't forget your pizza.
Yeah, so now we're gonna open it up for our Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, or anyone in Zoom, you can type it in the chat. I'm gonna start off with our first question. So you came last fall for our Work Women in STEM semester, as an like a collab with Women in Connect, DCUH, and AAUW. We want to talk about why it was so important that organizations like AAUW exist and why your involvement with them is so important to you.
Yeah, so it's you know, the woman engineer. I think about it and I reflect back because I have discussions, you know, with my husband about it. And I've never thought of myself really as being a woman engineer. I've always just thought I'm an engineer. That's what I do. That's what I've learned. That's what all of, you know, us around here have done. And so that's how I just naturally progress. And I didn't think of it one way or the other, but that's my, you know, experience. But I know that it's not everyone's experience. And I think it's important, you know, for me as a professional engineer and as a woman engineer to share that experience with other, you know, women coming up in the educational system and actually out in the workforce. Because I have some women colleagues and friends who've become friends of mine, and I hear about their stories and I'm like, well, really? And it's amazing. And I think things are definitely changing too. And there's more women that are coming into the profession, which I think is great. And I think it's important. And I think for the most part, you know, men are embracing it as well too. I was very fortunate at HDR. I had some great men mentors. And mind you, the leadership team was all men. There weren't any women. And I think it was just the times not as many women had been in the field to move up. And so as I've been able to move up, I definitely want to, you know, share that experience. And that's why it's important just to listen too. Because I'm like, really, that's happening here at Holmes Hall with there's no women restrooms on the first floor? Sorry, Brennan. Agreed. Right? That's why, you know, you get our exercise. So, hope that answers your thing.
When we were talking earlier, you mentioned how like you could count on your hand how many like women CEO engineering firms there were, and I'm like, I didn't even know that was like a statistic that we were counting.
Yeah, I will, cause Mickey was, she was helping to draft my bio, and I was like, I don't think I'm the only woman-owned engineering firm here in Hawaii, because I know Sharon Nojima, she's the president of Nojima Holman, and I forgot the last acronym, that's why I didn't want to go with it, that's my name, that's why I went with Orion, no last names. And she had June Nakamura, who did engineering solutions, but she, retired and was bought out or sold to Kennedy Jinx, but there's not a lot of women that are engineering firm owners. And being actually a firm owner in itself, even for a man or a female, it's challenging already. Because the responsibility lands to you. It's a lot of fun though, for sure, but there aren't a lot of women owners, so I'm hoping I can inspire a few of you as well to go down that journey.
Yeah.
I also have a question, but it must have been very difficult starting Orion, especially as you mentioned with it was like having 3 husbands. But how did you maintain a healthy balance between all your responsibilities and your life outside of work?
Discipline. It's when I was first starting, my career, I didn't have any balance, at all. And I was very just focused on growing, right? I wanted to be a project manager. I wanted to have more responsibilities. And then, kind of have that aha moment as you get older, that it's not healthy when you don't have a balance. And mind you, that's why I like to have fun at work, because if you're not laughing at work, you're crying sometimes, and it's very stressful. But I changed my lifestyle, and it's a mindset. And I truly believe that anyone can do anything if they put their mind to it. It's just a matter of how much you want it. And so I get up at 4:30 in the morning, I stretch, and then I do my workout. And then I drink my coffee and have my breakfast. It's my quiet time, where I do my best to not turn my phone off. Mind you, that phone is great, but man, it's very distracting and stressful. And have that quiet time, and then on the weekends, I work hard. Mickey works hard too. She balances it out. Hopefully my employees that are on. We do our 980 schedule now too. So every other Friday off for our staff as well, to maintain kind of that work-life balance. But it is about discipline too, and it's about setting and establishing what's important to you. And it changes throughout your life. It is ever changing. I don't have kids, but when people, have kids, there's that lifespan of, you have children when they're waking you up at 2 a.m, I hear. And then, then they become toddlers, and then you got to get daycare, and then they go to college, and then they come back from college, and, all of that stuff. But then you're an empty nester, and then, as we get older, your body starts to break down too. So, and, being healthy is important. Eating healthy, working out, and I just have so much more energy, because of it too. And yeah, like I said, I want to live to be 100. If you ever watch Netflix, there's the Blue Zone. It's called Live to 100, and there's different character attributes, characteristics of these different communities that incorporate things into their daily life. Because I don't have kids, I don't even want to take care of me when I get old, so I need to make sure I'm healthy and strong when I'm 100. So my great grandma's lived to 99, so I'm shooting for it. So thanks.
Yeah, it's cute. Yeah.
Any other questions?
So as like an owner now, you can kind of take everything that maybe you wish you had when you were an engineer working for these bigger companies. So what was like the most important things that you wanted to bring to Orion, that you wanted to have for your employees now that you're like in charge now?
Yeah. I think the most important, thing for me as an owner with, employees is helping them to understand how much they really contribute to engineering, right? You get down and doing your work, and it gets stressful, but they contribute so much, and being able to show that appreciation for what they do. It's a little bit harder, and it gets a little bit lost when you're working for a large company. It really can. And I know there's other companies out there, and it's not necessarily a company, but it could be a particular office where they just grind their engineers, you know, and they get exhausted and burnt out. And that's not the environment, you know, that I want to create. I think it's a balance, right? And so, and you know, helping them understand how they contribute, providing them the opportunity to take charge of their career path too, of what they want to do, and doing the training and development, you know, for them as well, and allowing that freedom to really grow, and making it a safe environment too, where they can come and ask questions and not be, you know, it's a certain way you approach things, right? And wanting them to feel safe that, hey, I can ask this question. It's not a stupid question. I don't expect you to know everything. And then that's kind of the environment that I like to create. And it's a family too. I wanted to create a family. I don't want to be a big company. I've made that decision, you know, and right now we're at 20, which, you know, we're here, we're largest in Honolulu, but we have, you know, a few folks in Washington, out in Massachusetts, but maintaining that kind of Ohana feeling where we support each other and have each other's back, you know, because life happens outside of work and emergencies happen, and having those people to have your back when you need to take care of something important. So that's kind of what I really, there's so much more, but that's what comes to mind when you ask me.
Yeah, company culture is definitely one of the biggest things I hear people say.
Yeah.
Whenever you're looking for a job, no matter what you're doing, it sounds like it's a very welcoming community.
Yeah, we do our best. Yeah, we do our best. Sometimes there's some faith for me, but I'll close my door. No. Thanks. Yes.
What does your company focus on? Sure, the steel bridge.
Oh, that was Hoover Dam. That was the dam. That was my vacation. We do airports. We're aviation. So we do all of the air side. We do runway, taxiway, apron, and all the drainage out there. That's our little niche that we formed. You know, all of our engineers, that's what we focus on. We've done some little work, dabbled in, you know, border water supply stuff, because that was what I did, but we really focus on making our airports safe and connecting those to Hawaii for sure. Yes, Brennan, no.
For those who listening or maybe our students who ever might think about starting their own company.
Yeah.
What would be your best advice? Because it's probably, I'm assuming it's one of the most scariest decisions and riskiest decisions
Yeah.
that you can make in your life.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice? And maybe is there any timing? What would be a good timing?
Well, so for me, I think, because I like my survey said, I liked that security of a large company, right? So for me, it was a calculated risk. It's like, I knew I had all of the skill set to run a company, because I learned it at a Common U. I was doing, you know, the profit loss statements, staffing, hiring people. Obviously, there were other elements that I learned, like legal and accounting. I got to do my tax, you know, you have a company tax returns that I didn't have to do it at AECOM, but getting that skill set first, you know, and then the hardest part actually was just making the decision. And once I made that decision, it's like, okay, I got to do this. And it's like it was all lined out. And then that became very overwhelming too. So if you're going to start your own company as well, I mean, I mind you, you want to have already established, you know, a lot of client relationships, right? Because if you become doing design consulting, right, you work with clients and you need to get work, right, to stay in business. So, you know, we had all four of us has contributed a certain amount of money to keep us afloat for a year. So that's, you know, have money in the bank, possibly get a line of credit as well. It's a little difficult right when you start, but have money in the bank to help support you. Have the clients that, you know, that you enjoy working with and that, you know, trust you as a consultant. And that's really what happened with DOT airports. We've been working with them for a while, and they always told us, we don't follow the company, we follow the people we work with. And they took a chance on that. I say chance, but they entrusted us, I guess, for lack of a better term, we got our first project. We were selected after 6 months, which was huge. You know, Oakland, who we had been working with, selected us after 6 months. So having that client basis, but, you know, it's really about is it what you want to do? And once you make that decision, it all falls in place. And I think what's important too is I was very overwhelmed and scared shitless, excuse my language. It was scary. I was like, well, if worst comes to worst, I can always go back to AECOM. I had a fallback plan. And my husband, reminded me, because we used to hike a lot. And we went in this hike up in Sacramento, and it was actually a downhill hike first. And Mickey just heard this story earlier this week too. And coming out, it was steep. And I'm just trudging along, and I'm like, there is no way in heck I'm gonna make it up this hill. I just stopped. I was exhausted, And my husband said to me, Shannon, just take baby steps. It's just one step in front of the other. Don't look at the top. Just look at what's in front of you right now. And don't stop. Even if you have to slow down, don't stop. And he kept going because he's stronger than me. And I'm just like, baby steps, that's the water. And then all of a sudden I started to pick pace up. Then I passed him. He's so wow. But that's kind of how he reminded me when I started the company. Don't look a year from now if you're going to have any work. You're just you don't worry about it. You can't do anything about it. Just focus on what's in front of you. So even like in your engineering education, don't think about, oh my God, I got to take this class. I got 4 years here. Just think about the class that's in front of you right now and focus on how you can do good at that. And the rest will follow. It will all fall into place. It's that mindset, putting that energy out there. It comes back and it follows you, putting that energy out. So thanks, Brennan. Yes, sir.
Hi, in regards to working on the airstrip, the airport, I know I'm familiar with that Hawaii has a unique airstrip, different from the mainland since the on the ocean.
Oh, the reef runway.
The reef runway.
Yes.
Yeah, so with your experience from all over, is there anything that you want to share that kind of puts you in a spot where you have to get help or dealing with Hawaii's airstrip, or is it pretty much straightforward, sewage, drainage?
Yeah, because a lot of, Oakland is right right near the water. It's right on the bay. And so they actually have levees to protect themselves from sea level rise, which I don't know what we're going to do here as the sea level rise is, because that runway is going to be under water. But no, we could. Sorry if anyone from the state. It's gonna go away. No, we'll construct it out. But bringing in experience, because when we worked at AECOM, we had experience at other airfields too, and so you bring in that experience as well. And we have other teaming partners that we work with as well. But I think the biggest challenge in Hawaii is just resources, right? And it's getting the materials here, especially when you're on outer islands. We did a project on Lanai. They actually did a batch plant out there right on site, so that they, say nightly closures. And so that's a lot of the biggest challenges you'll find here. But out at the reef runway, it's asphalt. Asphalt's not really, to me, it's very interesting. I didn't know pavement could be so interesting, actually, but it is pretty cool stuff. And there's certain FAA criteria for, asphalt, but it's all the different components that make it more challenging. It's like keeping the airfield operational while they're doing construction. That's the biggest, and making sure it's still safe while it's, certain areas are closed down. When we started 8 left and we shortened the runway, dealing with the airlines, that was probably the most challenging. And you guys all know Hawaiian, and yeah, we were in the room with them, right away, trying to figure out, solutions on some of the challenges. Because I think the whole community, everyone felt it, because they were delaying flights, on outer islands, because they could only sequence so many, flights coming in to land on the alternate runway. So those are like all the different more challenges we face rather than the actual design, I think, aspect of it. Thanks for the question. Any other questions?
So you showed us your incredible journey towards starting Orion and how you overcame many obstacles in order to get where you are now. If there was something that you knew now that you could go back in time and tell your younger self when you graduated college, what would it be?
I saw this question before I, came to here, and I was like, And I was reading an article a few weeks ago about right and wrong decisions, right? And that's kind of another aha moment I had. It was like, I learned that there's really no right or wrong decision, but it's about making your decision right. And I was like, wow, that is so true. And so I think back, yeah, what would I have told myself? I really don't, in a sense, know, because if I would have told myself something that I knew now, I may not end up where I am today, you know, and I'm such a different person than I was 30 years ago, and I probably wouldn't have listened to myself. So it's a hard question because it's like, I was such a different person. I wouldn't even really know what, you know, just stay on that path, because the decisions that I made at that time when I was in college led me to where I am now. So. Thanks. Tough question though. Any other questions?
Yeah, so you said you started as a design engineer and then you kind of moved up management, and then now it seems like you're like back in the field. So do you have like a favorite part of the engineering process, or is it like everything is your favorite?
No, it's interesting you asked that too, because I went through, I read this book, this 6 types of working genius. That's what we went through. Patrick, how do you pronounce his last name, Brennan? Lencioni. I was turned on to this book about the 6 types of working genius, and it highlights, you know, when you have a project or a task or an activity, the 3 main phases of getting work done. And one is your ideation stage, one's your activation, and one's your implementation. And a really great book if you want to think about strengths and weaknesses, I guess, or opportunity. We call them frustrations, or the book calls them frustrations. And I did the survey, and I learned that my geniuses, which is what I love to do, and I'm good at it. And one is discernment, which means evaluating. I love to evaluate data. I love evaluating and looking and reviewing at someone else's design. I don't necessarily like coming up with the design. I do it. And then I have tenacity. And those that you know me know I'm very tenacious. I love to get stuff done. It's so good to cross stuff off. I to do this. And so with that part of that engineering is really what I enjoy doing. And I do actually love to go out in the field, because when you're out on an airfield, there's something so calming about being on an airfield, especially at night, because you go out there a lot at night because they do night work, and it's just calm. And there's this hum about it. And it's just an amazing environment. And then I almost feel like I'm a little kid too, because the pilots go by and no, and I'm like, no. And I'm like, tell you I'm a little goofy, but it's fun. It's like I can be like that little kid again too, because life is way too short to take things way too seriously. So.
You talk a lot about like these books you've been learning about, things that you've been learning is, are you still learning as a leader now?
Oh gosh, yeah. I learn every day. And mind you, I thought I would never get turned on to YouTube. God, there's so much information on YouTube. But there's some great stuff, you know, on YouTube that you can learn. And it's amazing. But I learned that, you know, because I was getting in that phase where I was like looking at my phone for stupid stuff, you know, playing games. And I'm like, this is not a good way to use my time. And so I started to learn that there's so much more useful stuff on YouTube about learning just about who we are, you know, as human beings, and how we can change our mindset. I listened to this one really cool podcast, and I never remember people's names, but I learned that when your first 7 years, when you're growing and learning, you're basically a computer, and you're bringing everything in, and you're learning from your environment around you. And that becomes our habits. And we just take those habits as we continue on through life, and realizing that they sometimes don't serve a purpose anymore. And so recognizing that, you know, that old habit doesn't serve my purpose anymore. I can retrain myself. You can retrain your mind all the time. And by doing so, you make life's experience just so much more worthwhile, I think. And so I encourage every day, I'm learning something new every day, and engaging with people and learning from other people and learning from their experiences. That's what we're here to do as part of our life's journey, is to share those experiences and connect, you know, with one another. Any other questions? Where are we on time? It's 12:22, 8 more minutes. You got me for 8 more minutes.
Okay. So, as you started Orion, you had 3 like co-founders with you. How did you manage your professional relationships and like keeping that while like your relationships with them were changing from like coworkers or different
Yeah.
levels to now you're all at the same level?
That was really hard, and that's where it comes back to staying true to your values. And it's interesting because Tony, who's the remaining partner, he's getting ready to retire soon. He's out in Portugal right now, getting set up, I think, to retire soon. He's Portuguese too. Maybe that's why we ended up together. But initially we were the two that didn't get along very well. Very interesting. And I don't know if it just was how the whole relationship with 4 partners, but it ended up where we both actually saw eye to eye with what we want the company to be. And so it was a lot of compromise, unfortunately, a lot of, I guess, wasted time to a certain extent, but necessary, as you have these discussions. And I was always the moderator between everyone. I was trying to make everything work. And it was exhausting. And mind you, I think there's a place for everyone in the world. And sometimes you find that where you are is not the best for you. And so that's why you decide to go, separate ways at times. And it was the best decision. It was very freeing to recognize that, this wasn't the best fit. And making that decision. And I didn't sleep for a month. I lost I don't know, 10 pounds. I couldn't eat. And, it was just a tough experience, but I'm glad I went through it. And I recognize that if I hadn't gone through it and I had started the company with him, I wouldn't be here talking to you, fine people today. So yeah, thanks.
I also have a question. Were there any individuals along the way that really impacted your life? Can you tell us a bit of how or they changed? They did.
Let's see. There's been so many different people, in my life that have helped, guide and change me. But I think it's from an engineering position. Is when I was first at HDR, I felt like I was lost because, like I said, I felt like I didn't learn anything in college, and I had one supervisor who wasn't quite engaged. And so the next, and a big pump station project came up, and another supervisor, strong technical design. And project manager took me under his wing and showed me everything about how to design a pump station. And he spent that time with me and encouraged me. And I think that's really important, when you're growing into your engineering profession, is to have those types of people that want to spend the time with you to train you and develop you to be, stronger engineers. So that made it made me, his impact on me was he made me feel more confident as an engineer. He took me to meetings with the client. And I heard that, a lot of people, when you're incoming engineer, you didn't go to a client meeting until you had 10 plus years experience. I was at barely 2 years, and he was taking me to meetings to, expose me, to that. And, I was kind of nervous at first, but, then I became more comfortable. So he really helped develop my confidence as an engineer.
I am also kind of like that, little nervous, but always feel like looking up to people and learning from them.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
It is, it really is. And that's kind of the environment I want to create at Orion as well too, is making, building your confidence as an engineer. We don't know everything, and I still learn from Aaron, one of my senior engineers. He's an amazing, aviation engineer. And I'm like, what's the design standard again by FAA? And he knows it off the top of his head. It's just amazing. And so, knowing that you don't know everything, right? And being humble about it and asking questions. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Is there any other skills that you would suggest for all these new engineers coming into the field to also kind of develop or strengthen along the way?
Yeah, I think for me, and I have to look back, I'm like, what did I know when I first came out of college? Not much. But developing kind of that critical thinking skill. And I guess what I mean by that is like when you come out of college and you start working on a project, we normally just give you a task and say, hey, do this. And then you just do it, but then don't really look at, is this right? Does this make sense? And so being able to kind of step back and go, does this make sense? How does this relate to the rest of the project? Don't just focus on the task at hand, but think, step back, ask questions. An engineer, Ina, I know you're on. Hi, Ina. She's amazing. She comes out in the field with me and she's like, so why did they do that? The contractor. And I'm like, that's a really good question. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. And I'll just go ask the contractor. But asking questions, just thinking bigger, not just focused. So I find that very, very helpful because I learn too when they start to ask questions as well. Brandon, thank you.
Help me again. Thanks, Shannon, for sharing today. I always get self-conscious myself, got to pull my sleeves down when I'm standing next to Shannon.
I get up and work out, He doesn't. He comes straight to the office. I used to see him running downtown when we were at Hart.
Yeah.
Running
That
away
was
from Hart.
stress relief. Yeah, that was running away from Hart. That was really. But no, thank you again, Shannon. It's always, I always appreciate listening to what she has to say, and hopefully all of our audience are beneficiaries of her guidance. So, but please, next month, join us again, May 3rd. Our next speaker is Eric Yeaman, same time. And Eric, too, former CEO of Hawaiian Telecom, former CEO of President of First Hawaiian Bank. But like Shannon, Eric can also share some insights on, he's a new business owner as well. So, a lot of the different kinds of insights that our leadership folks out here that are more than happy to share their experiences with all of you. So again, thank you to the Hayashida Ohana for supporting our seminar series and all of our efforts in leadership in the college. So again, thank you very much. Have a great weekend, folks, and we will see you next month. All right, aloha.